Lori Lightfoot, failed mayor of Chicago in the United States of America. If you don't know who this is by now, I'm pretty shocked. That is a clip from 2020 when she came out as the Rona Destroyer, trying to make some kind of comedic relief out of a so-called virus that's killing all kinds of people. But, that makes total sense, right? But anyways, she's in news headlines today, and we're going to talk about that. Just exactly why? Because she's bringing segregation back like it's 1952, right? Because that's what Black Lives Matter does, and all these radical social justice warriors, cultural Marxists, and people to be claiming to fight against racism with more racism. Okay, that's what these people do. So this episode is literally going to be defining what woke-tarded really is. Because a lot of these woke-tard, woke Wookiees, they do stuff just like this, and we're going to get into it tonight. But before we do, welcome to Drew Hernandez Live. My name is Drew Hernandez, hopefully one of your favorite podcast hosts here on YouTube. If you guys can do me a huge favor, if you're tuning in for the very first time, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification, but toggle on the all selection. In theory, you're supposed to get every single notification, but a lot of people don't toggle on all. What that does is YouTube leaves you on a occasional selection, so you might not get every single notification in theory, right? Also, guys, make sure to smash that like button, let the algorithm know you want to continue to see content like this. If you could do me a huge favor and share this video far and wide, wherever you could post a link, drop your city, your state, your country in the comment section below. Also, guys, if you guys would like to support me, consider joining the DH Alliance tonight for as low as $5 a month. To support me monthly on this show. This show is 100% supported by the people, we the people, that is you the people. So if you would like to support this show, consider also copying some merch in the merch store. The link is in the description below at drhlive.com, or you could drop a one-time donation on Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App. The link is in the description as well. Also, we do super chats at the end of every single show. We are extremely deboosted on this channel, over 55,000 subscribers, and we could barely get 4,000 views an episode if we're lucky. So that tells you what's happening. It's really hard for us to monetize. So if you would like to support this show and you believe in the mission and you believe in Drew Hernandez and what we are standing for and what we are doing on a nightly basis, consider dropping a super chat or donating directly to the website below. This is the way, America. We're going to talk about this tonight. I've been talking about this a lot, every single night. White people are being attacked. Okay, so now you got a brown guy on YouTube coming out and saying things that a brown guy on YouTube is not supposed to say. And the reason why I'm not supposed to say these things is because the reason how the radical woke-tard left shuts down people like me is they either completely censor me, they deboost me, they suppress my voice, and if I was white, they would 100% cancel me immediately and just destroy all of my channels and all of my social media. The only reason they even leave me alive on social media is probably because of the color of my skin. So I'm going to use my platform to speak some truth tonight. This is probably why I get called I literally get called this, okay? I get called a Mexican white supremacist Russian asset. That's a title that I've been called on Twitter multiple times. And it's because I speak out against black supremacy, and I speak out against minority supremacy, and I also speak out against white supremacy. So the radical left, woke-tards on the left, don't know what to do with me. The woke Wookiees, their minds explode when I talk like this, when I stand up and I speak up for white people, because there are millions of white people in this country that are not racist, that don't see color, that aren't prejudiced, that don't degrade or demean people or judge people based on the color of their skin, that just love this country and want black people to thrive just as much as white people are thriving, and want brown people to thrive just as much as white people and black people are thriving in this country, okay? White people are the majority in the United States of America. That is not white supremacy. That is just population statistics in this country. Now, what the radical wokies, what the radical woke Wookiees do on the left is they take these things and they declare them as white supremacy because we are the minorities, the Latino, the Hispanic community, the black community. Because white people outnumber blacks and browns, that is by default, according to critical race theory, a form of oppression and a form of white supremacy in this country. Now, you're starting to see this play out. We saw it in Disney. Disney was trying to dish out under the radar critical race theory to its employees. It's in the military. It's in the pop culture. It's in the music industry. It's in the movie industry. It's in every single institutional pillar of society that we have. Obviously, education in our universities, critical race theory, teaching that white people are bad, brown and black people are good. That's the end of the story, right? It's very basic. It's very kind of like Neanderthal thinking. I mean, you don't really think too deeply into these things. That's literally, in a nutshell, what these people believe, because that is what they preach, and that is how they determine who gets a pass and who doesn't in society. So what this is doing is, in my personal opinion, I believe based off of stats, I think the radical left community, the black community on the left, have now seen an excuse to propel and advocate for black supremacy in all of these different institutions in the United States of America because of what happened hundreds of years ago with slavery and because of segregation and racism in the 1960s, which was overcome by the civil rights movement. What they're doing now is they're taking us back, okay? This is why you hear from Black Lives Matter. This is why you hear from radical left SJWs. They're all preaching the same thing, right? You hear them talking about slavery like we're living in the days of the Civil War, okay? They talk about black people have it hard as if they were living during the days of slavery. They talk about it as black and brown people are, experiencing segregation as if we're living in the 1950s, 1940s era where minorities were segregated and racism was obviously prevalent and alive, which I condemn wholeheartedly. I believe anybody that has a clear conscience would, whether they're white, black, brown, doesn't matter, okay? But what these people have done, especially after the death of George Floyd, what you saw all 2020, and you did see under the Obama years with the rise of Black Lives Matter, is they have taken us backwards. They claim that there is systemic racism in this country with zero proof. Zero proof. Anytime you ask one of these people, give me a single shred of evidence that proves that I'm talking about systemic racism, okay? And sometimes I'll get even more specific. I'll say, okay, show me a piece of policy that is being enacted, enforced in this country, okay, that is as racist systemically as it was during the 1960s, 1950s, before the civil rights era, to abolish all that stuff. Show me something in 2021 that comes anywhere remotely close. That is systemic racism. Okay, systemic racism is when you have something institutionalized that segregates minorities, that puts and elevates another race over another and gives an advantage to a race over another. We don't see that in this country, okay? If anything, it's now being turned around. Now black people are elevating themselves, radical left SJWs and the woke Wookiees and woketards on the left. They're advocating for black supremacy while attempting to say that they're fighting against white supremacy. That is not fighting for equality. That is fighting for dominance and supremacy. And it's actually woketarded because you're sitting there saying, we're going to fight against white supremacy by advocating for black supremacy. Now, the BLM will always push back and say, that's not what we want. We want equality. Is it really? Well, why does Lori Lightfoot do what she's doing in Chicago tonight? This is literally what we're going to talk about. Because what I see in this country, I see minorities, predominantly left-leaning blacks, that are advocating for black supremacy, not equality. This is why they leave out white people. If they wanted equality, they would make it diverse. But that's not what they want to do. Listen, I have no problem with diversity. When I turn on my TV, when I go on social media, when I watch a movie, I have no problem with diversity. I'm a minority myself. Of course, I'd love to see that. Of course, I love to see Latinos and Hispanics and blacks and people of color thriving just as much as white people do. Of course, I love turning on the TV and I see diversity. But that's not what these people are doing on the radical left. What they're doing is they are attempting and they are thriving to achieve black supremacy. They want to dominate white people. You are seeing this everywhere in this country, especially in the pop culture. That is what Black Lives Matter preaches. That is what Black Lives Matter literally does. Okay? And you see this critical race theory unfold in the pop culture. But tonight, we're going to take a look at this in the world of journalism and politics, because a mayor in Chicago is now excluding white journalists and is only taking interviews from black and brown journalists because she claims that Chicago journalists are not diverse enough. That's why I go back to the point saying it's not diversity that they want. Because if Lori Lightfoot wants diversity, then she'll just allow black people and white people and all people to be equally balanced inside of a journalistic setting, which even at that point, I don't agree. And I'm going to get into that a point as well tonight. But this is why I say they don't want diversity. They want dominance. They're excluding whites. Is that equality? Of course not. Anybody with a brain is going to sit here and conclude that that is not equality. That is supremacy. So what these people are effectively doing in this country is this is an attempt and a smear and a slander against white people in this country. They're demonized every single day in this country. White people are slandered every single day in this country. Doesn't matter. Even if you're a white person that doesn't even view color, you love black people, you love brown people, you have the slightest wrong idea or you have the slightest misfire when it comes to what they believe. If you disagree with them in anywhere in their thought, you're a white supremacist, and you are a white supremacist sympathizer, is what they'll call you. You don't even have to be white, but this is a full assault on white people, and it's a slander, and it's wrong, and it's why I speak out against these things, because it's going to continue to happen. And I think the greatest tragedy about this is a lot of white people on the left, they just allow it. They just buy into it. They just bow down to it. They don't speak out against it. They'll never say the things that I say because they've joined a side. They've joined the dark side that will cancel them into the abyss of hell if they come out and say, hey, I'm not a racist. Why are you excluding me just because I'm white? Oh, now some of these woke-tards on the left that are white are waking up to the reality of who the real racists are. Does that make sense? The racists are on the left, and that is what they do. This is who they are. They don't want equality. They want supremacy. And that is wrong because that defeats the purpose of what they claim to be fighting against. You don't believe me? All right, well, let's get this story up now. So, Chicago mayor sparks backlash after limiting media interviews to people of color. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, a Democrat, is drawing scrutiny and pushback from local journalists after deciding to grant one-on-one media interviews only to people of color to cover her 2-year anniversary in office. The restrictions on who could interview the mayor garnered national attention after Mary Ann Ahern, a political reporter for NBC5 Chicago, tweeted about the move on Tuesday, and this is what she tweeted. Absolutely. They told me only black and brown journalists are getting one-on-one interviews, she tweeted, who is white and has served as a political reporter at the NBC station since 2006, told The Hill. In a public statement on Wednesday, Lightfoot confirmed she was exclusively providing one-on-one interviews and with journalists of color. Now, here's her tweet, and this is what she said publicly on Twitter. Now, just listen to her logic, okay? I ran to break up the status quo that was failing so many. That isn't just in City Hall. It's a shame that in 2021, the City Hall press corps is overwhelmingly white in a city where more than half of the city identifies as Black, Latino, AAPI, or Native American. I have a lot to say about this. Diversity and inclusion is imperative across all institutions, including media. In order to progress, we must change. Yeah, so excluding white people is progress somehow. No, that's that's bringing us back to segregation. This is exactly why I'm being intentional about prioritizing media requests from POC, people of color reporters, on the occasion of the 2-year anniversary of my inauguration as mayor of this great city. This is an imbalance that needs to change. So to bring balance, she's excluding whites. Makes no sense. Like I said, woke-tarded. Chicago is a world-class city. Our local media should reflect the multiple cultures that compromise it. Yeah, just not white people. We must be intentional about doing better. I believed that when running for office, I stand on this belief now. It's time for the newsrooms to do better and build teams that reflect the makeup of our city. The makeup of our city. Let's take this down. So I have a few things to say about this. Okay? Number one, This is systemic racism, okay? This is an institutional pillar, the media and journalism in the United States of America. What this mayor is doing is effectively segregating, okay? She's separating people by the color of their skin. Blacks and browns, excluding whites. These critical race theory woke-tards, they think that fighting with racism against so-called racism in the ether is somehow, some way going to defeat supremacy and racism. The ideology doesn't make any sense. They're the real racists because they're the ones segregating us by the color of our skin, and they're excluding a race. It doesn't matter who it is. Listen, I would be just as aggressive against this if it was the other way around. If there was some white mayor somewhere in America, in some big city, doesn't matter, wherever it is, coming out and saying, you know what, just my own personal opinion, I think we're too black. We're too black here in the media. I don't want black people interviewing me. I only want white people. My God. My God. The riots, okay? People would show up to that mayor's house. It would be headline news, CNN, Don Lemon, okay? Chris Cuomo, Rachel Maddow, just trigger interviews, calling for the deplatforming, calling for the resignation, calling for them to resign, calling for the impeachment, calling for these people to be probably just put on a stake and burnt alive. You know how these people are, triggered out of their minds. Can you imagine if this was a white mayor coming out and making a statement as such, saying, I only want to be interviewed by whites? Wow. But why do they get a pass? Because the critical race theory, the cultural Marxism, the narrative is what? Whites are the villains, blacks and browns are the victims, so they get a pass to be racist. That's how it works. That's why they get away with it. You ask yourself, how mindless and stupid is this? I understand. Why do you think I call these people woke-tards? It doesn't make sense. They think they're so nuanced. They think they're so educated. They went to a big 4-year university, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn this stupidity, okay? That's what these kids are being taught in these universities. It's cultural Marxism. It's critical race theory. It's woke-tarded, and it turns your kids into a woke Wookiee, and they run around thinking that they're actually educated, but they sound like morons. And they're actually racists. Very racist. And it's just funny because people just allow it. A lot of white people on the left, they just allow it. And that's the tragedy. This is segregation happening in the world of journalism. When you're separating people by the color of their skin, okay? When you're separating white people from black and brown people, isn't that funny, right? They're always claiming there's so much systemic racism, institutionalized racism in this country. In business, in media, in journalism, in entertainment, in the music industry, and everywhere you look, in education. My God, there's just systemic racism everywhere. It's oppressing people of color. And anytime you ask them, can you show me? Can you point somewhere in this country where that is actually like practiced? Like, can you show me anywhere? You'd be like, well, can you show me in the NBA where that's happening? You know, just like, you know, hundreds of black dudes making tens of millions of dollars. I don't know. They will never give you an answer. But listen, I can point you to an example of systemic institutionalized racism coming from a Chicago mayor in 2021 against whites right now. That's what this episode is about. They claim, okay, it's like they're just mentally ill. They fantasize, they imagine there's this scary monster called white supremacy and racism in this country and systemic institutionalized racism that they can't even prove exists, okay? These people believe in this entity that doesn't exist, but they have a hard time believing in God, where there's more proof to prove that. You see how this stuff just doesn't make any sense? Oh my God, believing in God is so stupid. Oh, but we believe there's this scary monster of white supremacy in this country. It's like, can you show me where? I know, we just know it exists. But I can prove to you right now in 2021, what this does is they're like schizo, man. They're crazy. They're imagining things. They're hearing things. They're mentally ill. And their paranoia, right? They have extreme paranoia of something out in the ether that just does not exist. So it leads them to be racists. And they feel justified because they feel like they're oppressed. Oh, we're the oppressed blacks. We're the oppressed brown people. So we get a pass to be racist and advocate for black supremacy because we're so oppressed. It's our only way to have our voices heard. But that's not true. I just cited to you the freaking NBA alone. My God. You have black guys that are multi-millionaires. Some of them are listen, LeBron James that we know about, his net worth is $500 million. And you expect me to believe that there's institutional oppression, financial oppression of blacks in this country? It's ridiculous, man. This is further proof of black and brown supremacy. If they wanted equality, they wouldn't make these claims. They would bring balance. They always say equality for all, right? You see that painted on buildings every time they're out there preaching equality for all, equality for all. We just want to be equal. That's all we want. They're taking us backwards. They're taking us back to the 1950s. They want us to believe we're as racist as we were in the 1940s and 1950s, where if a person of color walks into a restaurant, it's segregated between blacks and whites. They're bringing that back. They're the racists. This isn't progressive. This is going backwards. This is taking us backwards in society. Why? Because they need something to grift on. They want to destabilize this country, and they're using a race war to do it. And they're pinning it against white people, and they're cultivating in their paranoia a race war that doesn't exist. They have pinned and they have painted the white man as the enemy of the minorities in this country, and that is just not true. It's not true. It's not true. It's simply not true. That's where I disagree. Listen, do I deny racism exists? Absolutely not. Is racism real in this country? 100% real. You better believe it. And it's going to stay here. It's always going to be here. Do I support it? No. Do I condemn it? Yes, very strongly and very harshly. But this is where I part ways with my minority brothers and sisters that find themselves on the left. I don't sit here and peddle these conspiracy theories. Isn't it funny how the left, Alex Jones is a conspiracy theorist. Right-wingers are conspiracy theorists. They just have all these they are the conspiracy theorists. They can't even prove to me that systemic racism statistically exists in this country. Every time I ask them, they point to nothing. It's just this scary monster in the ether that they have cultivated with their paranoia that doesn't exist, and they demand that you believe that it's real. And if you don't, you are a white supremacist. So they make it real by causing you not to believe their lies. And then when you reject their lies, they say, white supremacist. So that's how they create the monster of their paranoia. It makes no sense, and it's not real. They're bringing us back. They don't want progress. They don't want progress. They don't want equality. Because if Lori Lightfoot wants equality, then why am I reading? She says, "Oh, it needs to be more diverse. So the answer to make things the answer to making things more diverse is to leave out the whites." That's how we're going to do it. Makes total sense, right? Oh, diverse. Do you see what I'm trying to tell you? That's not what they want. They just say that, but their actions speak louder than their words ever will or can. Oh, it's not diverse enough. It's not diverse enough. So you know what we need to do? Yeah, we just need to leave out all the white people. That's what we need to do. Totally not racist, right? Because we're just elevating, blacks and browns. And you're hearing it from a brown guy, okay? I'm telling you the truth right now. This is who these people are. They're the real racists. It's a smear against the white community and the white race in this country. And what they do is they cause you to disagree with their version of reality. So that's what they use as ammo to paint you a white supremacist. Oh, you don't agree with my mental illness? Canceled. You don't agree with my figment of my imagination that I've cultivated with this paranoia in my head that systemic racism and white supremacy is an enemy to blacks and browns? You don't agree with me? Okay, that makes you the white supremacist. That's how they cultivate this. Psychological. It is an info war, man. You got to know what you're talking about. You got to know exactly what these things mean and why these people say these things. They don't want inclusivity. They don't want diversity. They want supremacy. That is why they leave white people out. And it's wrong and it's racist. Period. Especially in the world of journalism. 100%. And listen, this is closer to my heart right here. This is what I have to say about this, okay? Is it racist? Let's use their logic, right? Because the logic of the woke-tards is anyone that's dominating anything with the majority of race, that's racist. That's how they think, right? So the United States of America is majority white. Racist! That's what the woke-tards say, right? Okay, well, let's use that logic in the NBA. Who's dominating the NBA? White people? No. Who's dominating on the court? White people? Is it Asians? No, I don't think so. Who's dominating the NBA on the court? Blacks. So they're the majority in the NBA dominating on the court. Is that racist? You see how this logic is just like, it just doesn't add up. That's why I call these people woke-tards, because you use this logic in other places and it doesn't make sense. Why are black people dominating on the court? Because they're freaking amazing at basketball. It's a competitive thing. This brings me to my point, okay? I'm going to give you my take on this issue in the context of journalism, because this is how this is being done. Lori Lightfoot is excluding white people, okay? And only taking interviews by blacks and browns. This is all based on skin color. This is why it's racist, okay? And why does Lori Lightfoot believe that? Because she believes that whites are supreme because of the color of their skin. Dude, there are even Democrats that are being excluded. There are even SJWs that ride with Black Lives Matter in Chicago that are being excluded journalists. You see how hilarious this is? Oh, you woke-tards think you're so virtuous, don't you? You think you get a pass curing your white guilt by marching side by side with Black Lives Matter? You are so stupid. You ain't in the club. You're a racist to these people. And they leave you out once they're in power because they want black supremacy. So here's my point. My point is this. I use the NBA analogy because I compare it to the journalism analogy. It should not be about skin color. When it comes to journalism, it should be about performance. Okay? And I will be the first one to come out and say, if white people in Chicago are better at journalism than black people, then that's okay. And if black people are better than white people in journalism in Chicago, then that's okay. If brown people are better than white people in journalism, then that's okay. If white people are better than brown, you see, this should not be determinative on race. It's determinative on talent, because Lori Lightfoot is just determining this on race. It doesn't matter. You could have journalists black and brown that suck completely, that have no idea what journalism even means, and you just get them in there because of the color of their skin? This should be based upon merit, skill, talent. Because now people are getting excluded because of the color of their skin. Listen, I'll be the first to come out and say this. We should not exclude white people because of the color of their skin. If a black person is a more badass journalist than a white person, then that black person gets the trophy. They won. But now we're starting to get into, what safe spaces and trophies for the 50th in place. And, we don't want, you see how they just dismantle society, how this affects society? You see how this affects our institutions, how this Marxism, this cultural Marxism, critical race theory, this just affects everything and it invades everything. I'm saying things right now that I shouldn't be saying, according to the radical left, because, for me to come out and say that, this just goes against their entire ideology. This should not be based upon skin color. It should be based upon merit and talent in the context of what's happening in Chicago. Oh, but Lori Lightfoot says, oh, it's too white. It's too white. Get all the white people out. Get all the blacks and browns in. End of story. That's how we fix racism. Oh, we're too white. We're too white. We have too many white journalists. It's too white. It's too white. So in order to fight this racism, we got to fight it with more racism. So exclude the whites and only let the blacks and browns in. That's it. That's it. Stupidity. Woke tards, woke Wookiees, morons. Your literal ideology does not add up, and it's actually racist at its core because you claim to be fighting against racism and institutional systemic racism. You claim to be dismantling the system, but what you're doing is actually giving evidence to me of actual systemic racism coming from black people. If you agree with that, drop a 1 in the comment section below. It's ridiculous. Okay, here's the main event. You guys ready? You guys ready for the main event? You guys ready for this? Okay, this makes this. When I was researching this, I was like, man, I really hope what I'm about to search doesn't end up being what I think it is, because this is gonna prove my theory of this being woke-tarded, okay? You guys ready for the grand finale? You ready for this? Okay. So Lori Lightfoot, she thinks that Chicago, in the context of journalism, is too white. And it needs to be more diverse, more inclusive. She thinks that Chicago itself isn't diverse enough. She thinks that journalists that are white need to be excluded because journalists that are black and brown are oppressed and they don't get opportunities. So she's leaving out the white people because the white people don't need the opportunities. She thinks that the blacks are oppressed. She thinks that the browns are oppressed. She thinks that they're just victims. They don't get any opportunities. They're just left out. They're just losers. They're just victims. So we got to fight this with some more racism and leave out the whites. So Mayor Lori Lightfoot is obviously a self-proclaimed lesbian, and she is married to, you guessed it, a white person. Oh my God, the inclusivity, the diversity. Oh my goodness. Black people are so oppressed in Chicago. Black people are not getting enough opportunities. It's not diverse enough. It's not inclusive enough. There's just not enough diversity in Chicago, especially in journalism. Leave out the whites, bring in the blacks, bring in the browns. But Mayor Lori Lightfoot is married to, you guessed it, a white person. Cannot make this stuff up. This is who these people are. This is how stupid these people are. This is how ridiculously woke-tarded these people are, because they don't really even stand by their beliefs. They just enact this through policy. Yes, they're racists, but they're hypocrites, okay? They violate their own beliefs behind the scenes, and she's literally married to a white person. Just saying. I'm just saying, man. That is who these people really are. It's a joke. You expect me to believe that this SJW of a mayor that is so inclusive, that is fighting for blacks and browns and believes that Chicago itself in the context of journalism is too white. We need more browns. We need more blacks. Get them all out. But you know what? She's married to a white person. I would be willing to bet, okay? I would be willing to bet that the reason why she married a white chick, because it was a virtue signal to try and protect herself, to say that she's inclusive, she's diverse, while lecturing the entire American people and Chicago that they're not diverse enough, while excluding white journalists from getting granted interviews from her because she believes it's too white. But there she is, 100% hypocritical and self-pleasuring, married to a white person. Oh my goodness. It is just obnoxious, ridiculous, woke-tarded, and stupid. And I'll leave it at that. Alrighty, guys, let's do some super chats before I head out. If you guys would like to support the show, if you guys got to jam out, please do me a huge favor and subscribe to the channel. If you guys got to head out, hit that bell notification, smash that like button, destroy that like button, and share the video far and wide wherever you can. But let's do some super chats. If you guys would like to interact back and forth, you guys can drop a super chat and support me. But also, if you guys got to head out, or you can support me at my merch store. The link is in the description below. If you guys would like to cop some merch, I'll actually bring that up for you guys so you guys can take a look at that if we can get that up. Here's our new merch store. You can cop a t-shirt, a cell phone case, water bottles, a mug. There's women's clothing, men's clothing, stuff to work out in, all that good stuff. So if you guys would like to support me and support this show, consider copying some merch. The link is in the description below. Let's take this down. Or consider joining the DH Alliance movement tonight for as low as $5 a month, monthly. Or we're going to do some super chats. This is how you could support the show. We are completely deboosted on this channel, so this is how you guys can support and keep this show afloat. So we'll do some super chats tonight. Thank you guys very much. So let me get some of this stuff up. I think we have a couple. Or you can give a one-time donation on Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal. The link is in the description below on my website, drewhlive.com. You can write a little note on those apps. So if you give a donation on the app, I'll read it as a super chat here on air. So we have a donation in Venmo, a $100 donation from Rebecca Foster. Rebecca Foster, we salute you. Thank you, Rebecca. The DH Alliance thanks you. Thank you for keeping this show alive and afloat. Without this support from the members, we can't monetize on this show. So thank you guys very much. YouTube screws us. Rebecca Foster with the $100 donation on Venmo says, God bless you and your family, Drew. Keep up your passion. You inspire all of us. Much love from Destin, Florida. Hey, shout out to Florida, man. Governor DeSantis is holding it down. He's really holding it down. But Ms. Foster, thank you so much for the support. My family says thank you. Thank you for the prayers. Thank you for the blessing. We thank you very much. This is how you guys can continue to support this show on a nightly basis, monthly basis. Thank you so much for the support. Like I said, we're extremely deboosted here on this channel. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And like I said, shout out to Florida. DeSantis is definitely holding it down. I hope they do a little bit more pushing back against the tech censorship so they can help little guys out like me. But I think it's a good start. And I personally think Trump is going to pick him as his running mate, but we'll see. We will definitely see. Alrighty, we have some super chats coming in tonight. We have a super sticker, a $5 super sticker from CAD Stance. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you for the super sticker, CAD Stance. We appreciate it. We have another super chat from Judy P, a $50 super chat from Judy P. We salute you, Judy P. Thank you so much, Judy. Another frequent supporter of mine. Judy says, racism is being practiced only by the left. It's been the left, right? The Civil War, the Democrats wanted slavery. They spilled blood to keep blacks enslaved. It was the Democrats that were fighting against the civil rights movement. And it's always been the left, right? It's the radical left in the United States of America that has always been advocating for racism. And maybe this is why they virtue signal so much, but they've just got a different form of racism in 2021, right now in the 21st century. Now they just psychologically keep people enslaved in their own minds. It's pretty convenient, don't you think? When you got the black community that's just committing their own genocide, believing that they're victims, just completely becoming recipients of the state. They're enslaved to the state. They don't want to live on their own. They actually believe that they're victims because they've been caused to be victims by the radical left. And when are they going to wake up? I hope they wake up. And the Hispanic community is on the verge of being courted by the radical left as well. And for one, I will absolutely be a voice to make damn sure that I speak out against what has happened to the black community, happened to the Hispanic community until the day that I die and have no longer air in my lungs. I will be a voice to speak out against that. Judy said, racism is being practiced only by the left. Hate is their zombie cult. It truly is. Do you guys remember the Straight Pride Parade? It was, I covered it, I think it was 2019, I think. It was interesting because you had thousands of SJWs, LGBTQ community, Antifa was out there, BLM was out there. I have all the footage on this channel, okay? It's like a 4-part series, and all you saw were all of these people that claimed to be fighting for love and peace and unity and equality, screaming that they hate people. These people don't have real love. They don't know what love really is because there is no hate in pure love, okay? And in hate, I mean a disdain without any kind of, righteous justification. Because the Bible makes it very clear, right, in Proverbs, that God hates an arrogant, proud person. And the list goes on. But that means disdain. It's a righteous justice that God has, okay? These people don't have that. They don't have righteous justice. They don't have authentic justice. It's built upon a lie. It's built upon slander. It's built upon mistruths. And they think that they're righteous. They think that they're just. They think that they're fighting for the truth, when in reality, they're just filled with hate. Because they hate the other side. There's no justification to have disdain or a righteous eternal disdain that God has himself. These people want to be God. They want to be the arbiters of justice and truth and the stabilizers in society, and it's never going to happen because they're fallen human beings. Does that mean that we don't fight for justice? Does that mean that we don't fight for stabilization in our society? Absolutely not. But in our fallen capabilities, we have to do it biblically on God's standards and truths because that's the only way that we have any kind of stabilization in our fight for justice. Period. There's real justice and there's fake social justice. We have another super chat from Beep Beep. We salute you for the $5 super chat. Thank you so much for the support. Beep Beep says, thank you, Drew, for speaking the truth. That is what I try and I intend to do. I'm a human being. I'm not perfect. I'll get things wrong. And when I am shown I am wrong, I am 100% open and humble enough to admit I was wrong and then correct it to make it right. Like I said, it's funny because the radical left, they claim to hate religion, they hate God, they hate standards, they hate morals, they hate any kind of moral codes. But their cult has the most hardest, difficult code of standards to uphold in their ideology and their side. If you misgender somebody, you're a racist. You're canceled. Okay? You call black people, you're a racist. Okay, like the smallest, like if you get things wrong, you say things wrong, the smallest misstep in the cult religion of the left, you're canceled. There's no forgiveness. There's no grace. There's no making amends. There's no second chance with these people. You're just done with these people. Their religion is more legalistic than some legalistic Christian churches in the United States of America. That's a fact. These people, they want to be gods. They want this. They want to be the stabilizers of society. That's why they're authoritarian psychopaths. Literally. Alrighty, let's refresh this. Let's refresh this. Thank you, DH Alliance. Thank you guys for the support. We have another super chat from Zach Kahia. Zach Kahia with the $5 super chat says, "Hey, bro, what's your Venmo info?" My Venmo info can be found on my website. Let me get that for you real quick since you asked. My Venmo, my PayPal, and my Cash App can all be found on my website. I'll put the link in the description right now. But that can be found on my website, drewhlive.com. So just click that link and you could find my Venmo at the bottom of the page with PayPal and Cash App and all that good stuff. So thank you very much for the support. And like I said, man, these are the people that claim to be fighting against racism. They claim to be fighting against inconsistencies in our society, but they're the actual ones fanning the flames to this. The only reason racism is getting any worse is because they are making racism trendy again in this country. They are stroking and they're fanning the flames to a race war, okay, where they're accusing white people of being racists. And then black people get on board and believe it, and brown people get on board and believe it. So they're creating a race war that doesn't exist. So it causes white people by default to defend themselves because they're being slandered, they're being accused. And the moment a white person speaks out for themselves, defends themselves, what does the radical left do? You see, there it is. There's that violent white supremacy. It was there. We knew it all along. That's what they do. Just because you defend yourself from being slandered, that is what these people are doing. 100%. So this is why I encourage white people not to put up with this. Speak out against this. Speak up for yourself. Make it very clear that this is not who you are, because the radical left, they will brand you. They will slander you. They will call you a white supremacist. You have to make it very clear. You have to show the world, speak out, say, no, this is not who we are. This is not who I am. This racism cannot go on. It's not racist to speak out against racism, okay? That's what these people are trying to achieve. They will call you a racist for speaking out against the racism that's coming from black and brown people on the left towards white people. And if you come out and speak out against it, you're a racist. Let them call it. They're going to call you that anyways. They're going to call you a racist anyways. Don't be afraid of being canceled. Speak up. It's right. It's true. It's just. Speak up. They think you're a white supremacist anyways. Speak up for yourself. I encourage people to do so. So thank you guys very much for tuning in tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please share this video, man. We're extremely deboosted on this channel and it sucks. It's really unfortunate. So we thank you guys for your support. Thank you for the donations on our website. Thank you so much for the super chats below. I truly, truly do appreciate it, especially on this show. Unfortunately, I mean, do the math, man. We have like 55,000 subscribers, and I could barely get like 1,000 views a show. And if I'm lucky, in 24 hours, I get 2,000, maybe 3,000 if I'm lucky. So we need you, DH Alliance. Shout out to every single one of you that support me monthly. Thank you very much. Share this video far and wide wherever you could post a link. And make sure to follow me on all my socials, on Gab, on Parler, on Twitter, Drew H Live, and Instagram, Drew Hernandez Live. The links are in the description below. Make sure to destroy that like button, smash that like button, share this video far and wide. And remember, we do this show Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure to show up on time to see this show, because YouTube will not do it for you. If you're lucky, you'll get a notification. So thank you guys so much for the support. And until next time, America, stay free.